Alvin SIms, man, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate you, man. As a youngster, man, watching you and DeJuan Wheat was my favorite backcourt, man. So it's a pleasure to be able to have you on the podcast. I know it took me some time to get to you, man, but, I had to go on down the list, but I got to you, my brother. And here we are, man. It's a pleasure to have you on. Appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day, man. So let's get right to it.
That's all good. Thanks.
So let me ask you this, man, because this is a podcast where we talk about, sports and bourbon. Do you drink bourbon, or are you a bourbon drinker?
Well, basically, I drink the dark liquor I drink is probably Woodford.
Woodford, okay. Nice. I can mess with a Woodford. That's probably one of the first ones that I fell in love with, man. The Woodford Reserve, the Woodford Double Oak. It was actually the first tour that I took, so it's definitely a go-to, especially in Kentucky. They kind of sponsor everything. But let's dive right in, man. I was reading an article, and I didn't know that you wasn't from originally Paris, Kentucky. You're from Illinois.
Yeah.
How did that journey go about from you going from Illinois to Paris, Kentucky?
So my family had roots in Kentucky. My great grandparents, they were from Kentucky.
Okay.
On both sides. Well, not both sides. Just on my mother's side. So I was in Evanston and the Chicago area. So we got up out of there and migrated down to Kentucky.
Nice. Now, coming up, who inspired you to, want to be an athlete, be a basketball player? Was it somebody that you wanted to model your game after? Who inspired you when you were younger coming up?
As a youngster, it was like my older cousin. My older cousin's father was, his name was Willie Jones. He played for the Detroit Pistons. Mm-hmm. And he always had a basketball in his hand. So every time it was with him, we was always going to the courts. So yeah, he was basically the person who put the ball in my hands, and I started trying to emulate everything he was doing. His name is Yanamor Zeblin. He changed his name, but his original name is Gregory Jones. But he was the one to put the ball in my hand, and then I took off after that.
Nice. Now, did you play any other sports, man? Because you always had this physical build and stature, like, because most time guys that play multi-sports, football, basketball, baseball, most time those are guys that really have like your thick, muscular figures, man. Did you play any other sports besides basketball?
Yeah, I did it all, man. I played baseball, football, I ran track. I played soccer. I did it all, man. And I was just a natural athlete.
You could tell too, man, because you look at everybody else. Everybody had the prototypical basketball body, kind of long, slim, long arms. And Alvin SIms, here he comes, just natural, just muscular, thick dude. And I'll tell you what, man. I was coming out of high school, and I think you had just finished playing in not Paris, but Greece, I believe. And we were playing in a summer league over at Spalding. Yeah, and so it was my first time being able to play against Alvin SIms. I'm like, okay, see where I'm at, man, coming out of high school, play against Alvin, somebody I looked up to, man. And I just remember watching you all the time. I said, I know he likes to go along the baseline. I know he likes to, try to go baseline. And sure enough, I'm guarding you. Close out, Alvin rips quick baseline. I try to hit you before you hit me because I knew that I couldn't body up. Alvin bumps me on the baseline, and next thing I know, I'm thinking I kind of pushed you behind the backboard a little bit. I just see Alvin just kind of explode up and dunk. I just said, well, all right, let's go on down the other way there. So it was cool getting a chance to play against you, man. So coming up in Paris, man, you were one of the best athletes, one of the best basketball players in Kentucky. What made you choose to go to University of Louisville?
My uncle was a big Louisville fan. I was actually a Illinois fan. I was a Illini fan. I watched Kendall Gill, Marcus Liberty, all those guys.
Right.
And like every time I went to his house, he always had Louisville on the tool. And also he was friends with Coach Larry Gay.
Okay.
So at the time, you know, during the high school career, it didn't click, but then I started watching, that Coach Crum, like big guards and all that, and I was like, man, that could be me.
Right, right.
That's how I want to land. So yeah, that
So
was
if you
pretty.
didn't go to Louisville, where would you have went to, you think?
I had Xavier, a lot of West Coast schools, USC, Arizona State, UCLA. I like the West Coast because we used to go out there and play in AAU, the Pepsi Invitational, the Nike Invitational. We used to go out there and play, and those schools were very interested in me, and I like the atmosphere out there. So,
Right,
but
right.
my family wanted me to stay closer to home, so.
Right. Well, it's cool, man, because I had Chris Lofton on the podcast, man, and he spoke very highly of you, man. He said you were one of his inspirations. You used to come up and play in the summer leagues up near Maysville. He used to
Yeah.
come and watch you all the time, man. So it's pretty cool. It's funny how to see the generations, how they affect each other, man. It just inspire the next and inspire the next, man. It's pretty cool. So what were some of your fondest memories, man, when you were playing in Louisville?
I would say definitely, playing in the Conference USA, it was a lot of talent there, and
Yeah.
the the Conference USA tournament every year was always it was getting you ready for the NCAA's, and then making it as far as we did with my team with my teammates, uh, even though all the obstacles we went through, losing players, people getting hurt, and we made it to the Elite Eight. And then, at that time, we weren't even supposed to be there. So we
Right,
just all
right,
came
right.
together. That was a great time, too. So.
So take me through your progression from the time you got to Louisville, getting to know Coach Crum, learning his philosophies, learning his systems, to the time you left as a senior. Give me your progression and sort of your mindset and what you sort of learned as you was progressing through college.
Well, Coach Crum is very fundamental. So I was just pure athlete. And, I just played.
Right.
So it took me time to learn the philosophies and be under structure. And, I took my lumps. I had to sit the bench. I got taken out the games for things. I'm like, why is he taking me out? No,
Right.
he always prepared us in practice. And freshman year was tough. Sophomore year, I started, grasping this, the philosophies, and then by the time I was a senior, man, it was like I knew everything to do in the right situations. Like there was times where I don't even remember losing the overtime game. I don't even remember that because he always prepared us. So we was
Right.
always prepared. And then I took that to the next level.
So 1997, you guys make it to the Elite Eight, going to the regional finals. Talk about that group of guys that you played with: DeJuan Weed, Eric Johnson, Damian Dantzler, young Tony Williams, young Nate Johnson, Alex Sanders. Talk about that group of guys and the camaraderie and chemistry that you guys had to make that magical run to the Elite Eight that year.
Well, it started in the summertime. Those guys, Nate, Alex, Tony, they were hungry. They came in hungry. They came in. They came in with an attitude, but it was appreciated because, like I said before, we were down, man. We had injuries. Samaki left. We had some people that ineligible. Jo had to leave. Um, but I mean, our team was pretty much dismantled, and they came and filled the void. And then when we got to, we got on the roll, especially when we was playing against Texas before the NCAA. We went down there and played and went into double overtime with them. And I think that at that point, that's when it really clicked. I think everybody came together and they knew what our purpose was.
Nice. And so many people remember you, man, for your dunks because, that's what a lot of people remember. That's the most exciting play in the game at the dunk. But just how great of an overall and well-rounded player you are. You were one of the top leaders in school history in steals and field goal percentage, man. You just a great player. And speaking of that Texas game, man, you had an explosive dunk. And to the normal fan, I don't think they understand how difficult it was because you went right. Y'all were playing in the Carrier Dome. You went right, but you planted and leaned. And I don't think if you haven't played the game, you don't understand how difficult that is and how much strength that takes. Now, normally when you go to the left, it's easier to lean, but to go to the right and to be able to explode and do that, man, really was a testament to show how powerful and how explosive you were, man. But that was just an awesome moment that I'll never forget, man. What was going on in that moment when you had that explosive dunk? Because that really was a big momentum shift too in that game.
Man, Texas, they were real physical, real physical and very athletic. So there's no way you can come in weak with them. So every time to the basket, if you watch the whole game, it was every layup, every shot, everything was challenged. So at that moment, I saw it. I saw the opening. I knew I had to come strong. So that was all that was on my mind at that point.
Right. And the funny thing about it, I ended up playing professionally with Reggie Freeman, man. And I reminded him a couple of times. I said, you know, my boys beat y'all twice that year. They beat y'all in Texas and they beat y'all in the NCAA tournament. So he's like, yeah, but I scored 40-something points. I'm like, I don't know about that. I said, I know you was a bucket, though. You was nice, though. I said, but we beat y'all twice that year, though. So I had to give him a little young stories about how my OGs beat him twice that year, man. So, but once you left Louisville, you played professionally 12 years. You played overseas. You played in the CBA, had a stint in the NBA. Talk about your progression as a professional. Talk about your 12 years. I want you to tell me the good, and I want you to tell me the bad of it too. Some of the, the good stories and some of, the not so good stories. Because a lot of times people just look at professionally and they just see the glory, the money, and the things that go into it. But it's, it's another side to the professional ranks that goes with it as well. So just kind of talk about your journey playing professionally.
All right, yeah. So if I came out of college, I thought I was going to get drafted. I was predicted late first, early second. Stuff didn't happen. That's the time when they started recruiting heavily overseas. So they was drafting players overseas that didn't even come. So at that point, after that, I went to the CBA. I started, digging my feet in the ground and started realizing, hey, I need to work to get, notoriety. So I got Rookie of the Year. I made the All-Star team, the CBA. We actually won the championship too. Along to go with that against like major players. And also at that time, the CBA had call-ups. So I'm thinking like, yo, I'm really busting out here. I can't get a call-up. So
the CBA was sort of like what the G League is now back then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at that time, I'm like, yeah, I need to really put in work. So at that point, it took my work ethic went to another level. I started really training and focusing on, diet and everything else. And that led to other opening doors for other situations. Teams started noticing me, Phoenix, Houston, all those teams. I ended up going to Venezuela after the CBA, and I figured out, my role, my true position. With Denny, I was like, this everywhere. But once professionally, I started playing the one more than the two, and that helped me identify the type of player I was, and that helped, the scouts and everything else.
Right.
And so going to Venezuela, even though you look at it, it might not be a good situation for somebody who has high hopes of making it to, a real professional situation. It actually helped me. The living conditions and stuff like that wasn't too good, but I was happy to get the opportunity. After that, I went to some NBA camps. I was noticed, and then once I hit Greece, that's when I really took off. So I found my true position, started being a leader. I was a leader like on every team I stepped on. I was stepped to the organization. I was automatically a leader because my foundation from Denny Crum. I knew how to play ball. I knew how to organize everybody. I mentored the younger kids. The younger kids that play on 15U, 16U, that practice with us and stuff like that. Um, there were times when I played. I broke my foot. I got injured when I was in Italy. That crushed me because I was having a hell of a year, and I already established myself. I was like one of the top people in my position at that time, and there was a lot. It was a lot of competition, and that was going to lead me to being with the Philadelphia 76ers, and everything just didn't work out as planned. So had to reinvent myself, go come back. I made a strong comeback, played a couple more years in Europe, and then migrated to the Middle East, and then started all over again. And once again, I was a leader, well recognized. I already had a resume. People knew who I was, and then I was playing against younger kids, getting their first, getting their feet wet, and they came try to challenge me, but didn't happen.
Now, let me ask you this about the CBA, because I've listened to a couple of other different people talk about it. I've listened to Doug Gottlieb and Raja Bell talk about their journey in the CBA and talking about how, like, when they travel, like the night before the game or the pregame meal, it might be a hot dog and a Coke. It said, like, it was a real testament of a grind, and it really tested your will of, like, if you wanted to do this for a living or not. Because if you didn't have a strong will, if you wasn't determined to do this to make it, to the next level, then the CBA was going to break you. Like, was it really, grind like that, man, as far as like pregame meals and really like not knowing sometimes, how things we're going to be set up?
Man, there was no pregame meals. You had to find your own food. Gas stations, whatever, man. It wasn't that easy. There was no preparation, but to get off the bus or the plane and go play. That's all we had to do.
Wow, that's crazy.
I played against Raja. He was at Yakima Sun Kings. We had to beat them a few times too, man. He was a rookie when I was a rookie. So,
Okay. Now, did you play against LeBradford? Because he said he had LeBradford came down, and when he left the Bullets, he was on this team. LeBradford came down to the CBA. Or was you already gone by then?
I think I was gone then.
Oh, you was gone by then. Yeah, I played in Caracas too, man. And Caracas is dangerous, man. Hey, I can relate. I can relate to what you talk about, them living conditions. Hey, because if I had a family, they definitely wouldn't have came with me, man. But, like I said, the pay was good, though, and it helps you find yourself, and it helps you focus on your game because you're not venturing too much outside of the gym practice or nothing like that. But, yeah, it was nice, though. It was nice, though. It was a heck of an experience. So with that being said, man, you talked about how when you went to Venezuela, it really helped you become a better leader. And now you're a head coach, you're a trainer. What's some of the philosophies that you've taken from Denny Crum that you implement in your own coaching style and your own training style to this day?
The main thing is preparation. If you're not prepared, you're not going to be ready to compete at any level. It doesn't matter. It starts with your mental, your physical, just the overall mindset of being that type of athlete, just setting the goals for yourself and having the mindset to reach those goals.
Right. Now, do you get a chance to keep up with the cars much these days now?
I try my best. You know,
Okay.
I'm not busy doing my own thing. Yeah, I try my best. I'm on Twitter. I try to come in town and catch a couple games if I can.
Right.
I hit up Kenny Klein all the time. He always has a hookup for the tickets. So
Right. Now, have you had a chance to watch Coach Mack, and what are your impressions of Coach Mack in his first few years taking over for Patino at UofL?
yeah, I watched him. Hey, he's a great addition. He's a great person that we didn't have high hopes for him, and then he came in and all of a sudden, Louisville's back on the map, ranked number one. I was
Right.
proud of that. And
Right.
I give him kudos for all that, man. And I think his philosophies are great too. He prepares his players very well. Yeah. And then, I did have some questions, but all of a sudden, my questions were answered, like the defensive style and stuff like that. And he addressed it really well. So yeah, he should have a long future at the Bill.
Yeah, I've met him a few times, man. He's real genuine, down to earth guy. Come over and talk to you, invite you to practice. Just you know, real, arms open type of guy. Real receptive and touches base with alumni. He'll text from time to time, ask you in town, come through and watch practice. So I think he does things the right way, really embracing the culture, embracing the alumni, the coaches, and the people that came before him. And so, I'm really impressed by what he's done. He's taken a tough situation from what he's come into and really turned it around. And, I'm really happy for him. I'm happy for what he's done with the school. It'd be interesting now to see, though, because a lot of success that he had thus far is from a lot of the players that he inherited. And so
Mm-hmm.
now he's now all of the Patino players are sort of gone. And, I think, Malik's still there, but, he's pretty much, on his own players now. So it'd be interesting to see going forward. I wouldn't say this is a rebuilding year, but it's definitely going to have our learning curve for us because we're going to be really young. So I think it's probably going to be his toughest coaching job coming up this year if we're able to have a season with this COVID crisis.
Yeah.
So, big homie, now we reached a part of the podcast that we call the Burn Proof, man. It's a rapid fire questions. Gonna shoot them to you. Give us your first answer. Don't give it a lot of thought, man. We're gonna roll with it.
All right.
All right, cool. Who was the goofiest person on the team in your 4 years at Louisville? Who's the goofiest teammate you had?
Tony Williams.
Tony Williams. Sound about right. Sound about right. Who was the toughest person you've had to cover?
Dang. Deshaun Leonard.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. That's tough. The best arena that you've played in outside of Freedom Hall?
Rupp Arena.
Yeah, Ruff's nice. Ruff's loud. Ruff is real loud. If somebody was to play Alvin Sims in a movie, who would you want to be the lead character?
I'm trying to think of a light-skinned cat. I don't know. I'll just go with Denzel. He probably
Denzel, okay. You can't go wrong with Denzel. One thing people don't know about Alvin Sims.
They might not know I ride bikes. I'm always riding bikes now.
Nice. And kudos to that, man. I see where you lost over 150 pounds, man. Cycling and the keto diet, man, that's big time. Yeah. That is big time, man. Definitely kudos for that. Krispy Kreme or Dunkin' Donuts? Who got the better donuts?
Krispy Kreme for sure.
Okay. Now I know a few Illinois people from Chicago. They ride hard for Dunkin' Donuts, and we just got to go back and forth about that. I ain't rolling.
I had them fresh.
Right,
so.
Right. Somebody that you would see and stop and ask for a picture.
The late Muhammad Ali.
I agree. If I could meet one person, that would be the one person I wish that I could meet. Now, this is a question that we call franchise, sign, and wave. Now, we're going to do it Dunkin' Guards edition. So you got to franchise a guy that you would build your team around. You got to sign a guy that you would keep on the team, and you got a waiver guy that you just can't keep. So you only get to keep 2 out of the 3. 3 options are Steve Francis, Baron Davis, Nate Robinson. Duncan Guard edition. Who you franchising, who you signing, who you waiving? Steve Francis, Baron Davis, Nate Robinson.
I'm Baron Davis franchise, and Stevie he's keeping. I gotta let the little guy go.
You gotta let Nate go. I can't say I would differentiate with that. If you and DeJuan Wheat were a duo rap group, what would your rap name be?
Probably get these Wheaties.
Oh man. Last question, man. Our last one. If you had advice for the next generation, especially since you have daughters and a son that are trying to reach the highest level, what would your advice be for the next generation coming up behind you?
Do your research. Learn how others made it instead of, just watching the present and those that are already, put in the work to make it. Just like put in your all. Nothing's going to be handed to you. Just stay focused. Even if, everybody's going to go through trials and tribulations. Nobody's perfect. Just keep working.
Man, what a way to end the podcast. Alvin Sims, the legend, the great UofL basketball player, man. I appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day to chop it up with your alumni brother, man. Appreciate you. It's an honor. Wish you nothing but the best going forward, man, with your coaching career. Definitely, again, kudos on the ketos diet, man, and the weight loss, man. And it's good seeing you.
Yeah, man, you too. Appreciate it.
Man. All right, talk to you later, man. Appreciate it.
All right, see you.
Gone.